boy, spending £2.5 grand in one go was kind of that's kind of when you know that I suppose that you're committed to the cause at that point. And then you spend a little bit more, and then you find that that wasn't too bad, so then you spend a bit more, and then suddenly you're spending 672 quid, and you go, bloody hell, that was a lot of money. But I think that was my first big snare drum purchase, and you know, there were a couple of Craviottos that cost in excess of £2,500, which the first of which was the 14x5.5 1-of-1 timeless timber, and that's still one of my absolute favourite snare drums. In fact, that is my favourite wood snare drum, and it always has been since I got it. But that one actually wasn't nearly as painful as you might think, despite the fact that that was, at the time I got it in 2006, the most expensive drum I'd ever bought to that point. And obviously £2.5 grand, certainly in 2006, would have bought you a pretty nice, you know, high-end kit. It will still buy you a pretty nice high-end kit, really, albeit maybe second-hand. But you know, that would have bought you a fairly nice kit at that point. This one was very, very calculated. I got a loan from, well, actually from someone or other, I don't know, the bank or something. I took a loan to buy the drum, and you know, I couldn't wait to get my hands on it, and I've loved that drum ever since. But boy, spending £2.5 grand in one go was kind of that's kind of when you know that I suppose that you're committed to the cause at that point. You know, and I bought a number of drums, you know, close to that price since, but that one was definitely not the case where I had any sort of second guessing. I think sometimes with anything, human nature being what it is, a lot of, you know, or any normal person will have second thoughts about things, you know, at some point. And yeah, with that particular drum, I certainly don't remember having any, because I was so dead set on that drum and getting that drum, because, you know, at the end of the day, that was a drum I never thought I would ever own, or, you know, not specifically that one, but that was a drum that I had idolised for about 6 or 7 years at that point, and I finally just sort of went, stuff it, I'm gonna take the plunge, I'm gonna go for that. But you know, there was some other. I mean, there has been some other Craviottos around that price and slightly more, where I've kind of gone, oh, you know, and you know, I've kind of maybe had a little bit of a second think rather than second thoughts. But then again, that also, you know, taking that sort of, I mean, I generally do think things through. Possibly a little too much, actually, sometimes, and even that's come back to bite me in the arse sometimes. On more than one or two occasions, I'd looked at a drum, I'd seen a drum, and this is the reason why I ended up with a lot of these drums, is because, and I've come across it recently, actually. Someone said it's about basically having the facility to get hold of something, and having the opportunity to do it as well. So certainly with there was one Craviotto actually, which yeah, I have actually done it, and that's the second Bubinga Craviotto that I got, and it was a NARM centerpiece drum. And I saw that drum. Steve Maxwell had it. He had it up for $3,000 American dollars, and I saw it, and I thought about it, and then I thought about it some more, and then I thought about it some more, and then I thought, no, I won't bother. It's too much money. It's too much money. This was back in the time when I actually was, you know, young and had cash. And then I thought, I'll stuff it. So I emailed Steve and he said, I wish you'd come back to me the other day. I just sold it. And I was like, oh, bum. And that was that. You know, it's one of those occasions where it's just like, you know, you sat about thinking about it for too long and you missed it. And I'm like, okay, so is life. And I don't know what prompted me, but I said to Steve, I remember sending him an email saying, look, mate, if it ever comes back to you, for whatever reason, if it ever comes back to you, please do let me know. And lo and behold, I couldn't tell you the time frame, but I don't think it was that long after, Steve got in touch with me and said, the drum's coming back. The guy who bought it has changed his mind. He wants to put the money into something else. Are you still interested? And I said, well, of course I'm interested. Because I'd learned my lesson by that point, and I'd said, you know what, I'm going to definitely commit to this one. And, you know, subsequently, you know what, actually, as it turned out, the guy who bought it was a very nice man. I only spoke to him on the one occasion, but and it was a long time ago now, but I had a chat with him on the phone. He lived out in Georgia. That's in, you know, the lower half, not the country. And a very, very nice man. And I subsequently got what was an unplayed brand new drum for a second-hand price, because obviously once you own something, it comes out of the shop, you own it. You've driven it off the tarmac, it's depreciated. So I ended up getting the same drum for a good few $100s less than what I'd paid for, or I would have paid for it had I had just taken the plunge the first time. But you know, I think the thing for me at that point where I was thinking about it was $3,000 is a lot of money, and I don't know what the equivalent in sterling would have been at that point. I mean, it still would have been a chunk of change, but you know, as I said, I thought about it and then thought about it too long, and then by the time I'd made up my mind that I was going to go for it, the damn thing had gone.